Okay, first let's get this out of the way. These are all my YouTube channels. I also have channels on Vimeo. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would. These are all my YouTube channels. All my content is adult, age-restricted videos, all of my channels. YouTube makes me do this. They make you divide it up into 3 things, and the only right answer so you don't get in trouble is to say it's age-restricted. So if you're not 18, get off this channel. Okay, that out of the way. This is going to be debunking people landing on the moon, specifically the laser rangefinder on the moon. So, in 1965, National Geographic did an article about occurrence that happened in 1962 where they were bouncing lasers off the moon. I put the actual magazine on other ones, Lunar Lander Inconsistencies, if you want to see the actual physical article in the National Geographic magazine. You can look it up online. So in that article, it's 2 miles wide when it hits the Earth, when it hits the moon in radius, and when it comes back, it's 12 miles across. Now, it's just kind of funny that it's also, when you fire a laser, supposedly at the 2 foot by 2 foot laser reflector, that it also is 12 miles across. Now, let's keep a little something in mind here. Now, they say that's a 2 mile square, that was a Ruby laser they fired in 1962 that left a 2 mile radius striking of the moon before it came back. Well, I'm going to say that if they're firing now, they're using a laser at least twice as powerful. So let's jump it down to 1 square mile. 1 square mile equals this many million square feet. The lunar laser reflector is 2 feet by 2 feet. Go look up a picture of it. So how much of that energy is hitting at this width, and this is, I'm doubling it, I'm doubling what they say, is coming back is coming back to the Earth from a 2 foot by 2 foot reflector. Doesn't it make more sense that these people are convincing themselves that they're hitting this 2 foot by 2 foot reflector when in fact they're just hitting the Sea of Tranquility, which is a natural hollowed out depression and a reflector of itself? So let's just walk the distance here to get this thing in mind. So the moon, whatever you pick for the Earth, for your experiment in your house, in your yard, I just have this as a marker to set stuff on. I've used if you're using the Earth to set up the moon would be 30 times the diameter of whatever you're using, and that would be your moon. In this case, I didn't really have anything quite big enough here at the park, so I brought a model of a moon out, and this, if you were to do it the other way, it would be 50 moon diameters to the Earth this way. So we're going to walk it off here. So you fired a laser. It's going 186,000 miles a second in a vacuum. Now remember, for a little bit each way, it's not going through a vacuum. Also, the Earth is moving. Supposedly, it's 1,004 miles at the equator, and there's somewhere at the top of the Earth where you could stand, and it would take you all day to turn around. But let's go down. So, here's the Sea of Tranquility. By the way, Ward Heinrich gave me this to shoot, so I want to thank him for giving me this fine model of the moon. So here's the Sea of Tranquility. So the reflector's approximately there. Okay, so you're hitting this reflector that's 2 feet by 2 feet, and you're getting only, it's 27 million square feet in a 1 mile radius. Now remember, they said it was a 2 mile radius in that one, but I'm going to double the power of the laser. Then just that energy from that 2 foot by 2 foot is bouncing back. Think about that. 2 foot by 2 foot. So one 2 millionth, or excuse me, one 180,000% of the power is coming back from the moon back to your acceptor here on Earth. Remember, the Earth's supposedly rotating all this time. Do you really think they're reading something that's reflecting only 2 square feet of the energy? And like I said, I'm upping it to a square mile. I'm doubling the power of the laser that they fired in 1962. You could quadruple it. You could make it a factor of 10 and it wouldn't matter. You're not going to get enough energy on a 2 by 2, 4 square foot aluminum reflector. And remember, as reflective as aluminum is, it's not 100% reflective. And every year there should be a little bit more and more dust getting into that reflector, stopping it from, from micrometeorites hitting the moon. So every year it should be less and less energy coming back. And according to their calculations, that we're losing 4 inches of the moon is receding from the Earth 4 inches a year anyway, or 4 inches a century. So it just keeps moving back and back and back, and the supposed Apollo reflector is getting more and more occluded with dust as the years go by. So remember, the moon is on average 240,000 miles away. Light travels at 186,000 miles a second in a vacuum. But remember, there's 2 times where the first 70 miles has air molecules and all kinds of charged particles screwing up the laser. By the way, for your information, the maser microwave amplified simulated emission of radar. The maser from microwaves came out before the laser. LASER is the acronym for light amplified simulated emission of radiation. So several things to keep in mind. At the North Pole of the world, it would take all day for it to rotate around if you were standing on it, and that it's moving supposedly at 1,004 miles per hour at the equator. Sorry, this damn wind everywhere. So if you believe, just like some of these people that take astronomy classes, you're self-deluding yourself if you think you're firing a laser from the Earth and hitting a 2 by 2 foot reflector on the moon and you're reading it. You're actually just hitting the moon just like they did in 1962, and it's all coming back to you because the Sea of Tranquility specifically, I'll give you that you can hit the Sea of Tranquility with it. The Sea of Tranquility is 200 miles across. It's a natural depression. It's a natural reflector. And you're getting basically the entire signal back from there. You're not getting the signal back from a 2 foot by 2 foot reflector. If you think that, you're insane. And anyway, the Apollo moon landing was fake, every single one of them. And Stanley Kubrick faked the first 2 for sure. I think he turned them loose after they figured out how to do it after that, because you can see the flavor on the first 2 are different from the rest of them. And it's just kind of funny that we only went to the moon during the Nixon administration, during a 2-year period. The only astronauts that have been through the Van Allen radiation belt were the Apollo astronauts, not Apollo-Soyuz. Everything else is well within the Van Allen radiation belt. The sides of the lunar module that came back through it supposedly is about the thickness of 4 sheets of Reynolds wrap, maybe 5. It did have struts behind it, but that's how thick it was. Now, it did have the heat shield on the bottom that was very, very thick. But I'm just saying, going through that Van Allen radiation belt, the top of the kind of conical-shaped pyramid cross wasn't that thick at all. Another thing to keep in mind, the only men that went through the Van Allen radiation belt and landed on the moon were Freemasons, because they can keep a secret. Keep that in mind. So if you think that they fire a laser from the Earth, hit a 2 by 2 foot reflector 240,000 miles away, and the diameter of the laser, the one in 1962 was 2 miles across. Let's Let's increase it. Let's double the strength of it. That's how many square foot you're covering with a 1 mile square laser. And there's only 4 square feet reflecting back. They're lying to you. You need to wake up and learn critical thinking. Goodbye.